Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tokyo London Financial Innovation Seminar 2026. My name is Kaneko Eriko, and I'm honored to serve as your MC today. To officially open the seminar, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Matsumoto Akiko, Vice Governor of Tokyo, who will deliver the opening remarks on behalf of the organizers.
Good evening, everyone, and good morning to all of you joining us from the UK. I'm Matsumoto Akiko, Vice Governor of Tokyo. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural Tokyo London Financial Innovation Seminar, held here today at Tokyo Innovation Base and co-organized by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and the City of London Corporation. Following the revision of the Memorandum of Understanding between our two cities last year, this seminar was launched as a new initiative to promote financial innovation. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to the British Embassy, Tokyo, for its support of this important event. Today, we find ourselves in a period of profound change and uncertainty. We face a wide range of challenges, including an unpredictable international landscape, the need to secure food and energy supplies, the growing frequency and severity of natural disasters, and the rapid advancement of cutting-edge technologies such as generative AI. In such an era, what is needed is the power of innovation to drive sustainable economic growth together with strong global partnerships. Tokyo is striving to become an innovation and financial hub in Asia for realizing a sustainable society. And here at Tokyo Innovation Base, we have established a platform dedicated to creating innovation and fostering global collaboration. Today, representatives of the financial sector from both Japan and the UK will share their efforts to build vibrant financial innovation ecosystems. We will also hear from innovative companies from both countries about their pioneering initiatives. Through this seminar, I hope that new connections will be forged among people and businesses, and that investment and business collaboration, that innovation will flourish, and that investment and business collaboration between Japan and the UK will continue to grow. Even in these turbulent times, Tokyo and London must continue to work closely together so that both cities can continue to develop and prosper as international financial centers. Later in the program, we will also be joined by two distinguished women leaders representing our cities. The Lady Mayor of London, Dame Susan Langley, and Governor of Tokyo, Koike Yuriko. I hope you enjoy today's seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Governor Matsumoto. We are now moving on to the guest remarks. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Greg Gardner, Director of Trade and Investment and Deputy Trade Commissioner for Northeast Asia, British Embassy, Tokyo.
皆様こんばんは, and to our colleagues in the UK, good morning. It is a real honor to be here today, not least because I lived in London for many years and now I live in Tokyo, and to see the sights behind us here makes me feel a little bit homesick, but also proud to be here in Tokyo. It is great to welcome you all to the 2026 Tokyo London Financial Innovation Seminar, and particularly thank you to Vice Governor Matsumoto-san and to the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and this wonderful event space here at the TIB. My name, as you heard, is Greg Gardner. I am based at the British Embassy here in Tokyo as the head of the UK's Department for Business and Trade. As part of that role, I see firsthand how the UK and Japan are strengthening our bilateral relationship across so many areas, but particularly in our trade and investment relationship. In 2025, our economic relationship was worth almost 17 trillion yen. That's in terms of investment stock, with a further 7 trillion yen in annual trade between our economies. Earlier this week, on Sunday in London, our Prime Ministers met to discuss how we can further boost that economic cooperation. There, they welcomed almost 4 trillion yen of additional investments over the next 5 years, as well as new partnerships on offshore wind, energy, economic security, and a frontier technology partnership including AI, semiconductors, and quantum computing. So to support that future bilateral ambitions and our country's economic growth strategies, we need effective financial markets. Ones that enable innovative companies, of which we've got some represented here today and many more, but across Tokyo and across London. And we need the strategically important sectors to access the capital that they need to grow. That's why financial services are a key pillar of the UK's modern industrial strategy, announced a year ago this month. But it's also our objective to further enhance the UK's reputation as the world's most innovative global financial centre. Last year, the UK was the second largest centre for fintech globally, but the largest in Europe, attracting 660 billion yen in investment, and that's more than the next 5 European countries combined. So we in the UK government are absolutely committed to ensure that we continue to be the best place for fintechs to start, to scale, and to succeed. And that includes embracing AI, open finance, and smart data initiatives, and a supportive and agile regulatory environment to sit underneath that. So continuing to work on building our talent and international links to ensure the UK and London continue to be the world's largest, most effective and productive cluster of financial and professional services. You will hear a lot more about that from the Lady Mayor of the City of London later when she delivers her keynote speech. So let me close by saying again that for us, connection and partnership are an absolute essential ingredient to delivering on those ambitions between the UK and Japan and between Tokyo and London. That's why my team at the British Embassy here in Tokyo and I continue to work together to strengthen the links between our two countries. And the partnership between Tokyo and London as our nation's capitals and financial centres are very much at the heart of that. So I really hope today's discussions will generate new ideas and opportunities for further UK-Japan collaboration. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gardner. Thank you. We will now move on to the next part of the program. So please wait for a while until we prepare for the stage. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. Now we're moving on to the panel discussion under the theme Policy and Industry Actions to Create a Thriving FinTech Ecosystem. So first, I'd like to introduce our panelists and moderator. First, Shimazaki Masao, Deputy Director General of the Strategy Development and Management Bureau, Financial Services Agency. Damien Musbaum, Executive Director of Innovation and Growth, City of London Corporation. Natalie Shiori Fleming, Managing Director, FinTech Association of Japan. And Hayley Sedgwick, COO of Innovate Finance. Ms. Sedgwick is joining us online today. So Ms. Sedgwick, can you hear us?
I can. Lovely, lovely to see you.
Thank you very much for joining us today. And moderating today's discussion is Yamaoka Hiromi, Special Advisor for International Finance, Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and board member and Chief Sustainability Officer of Future Corporation. So now I'd like to hand over to Mr. Yamaoka.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Hiromi Yamaoka, Chief Advisor for International Finance in Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Now, I'm honored to serve as the moderator for today's session. We are joined by four distinguished panelists representing both from London and Tokyo. Our discussion will focus on how our two cities can cooperate to develop fintech ecosystems and promote financial innovation to enhance public welfare. So I look forward to a productive session. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government, TMG, is currently undertaking several initiatives centered on two strategic pillars, sustainability and high technology. Based on this strategy, the TMG hosts various events such as Sushi Tech Tokyo to foster an innovation ecosystem and support startups. The TMG also established the Tokyo One-Stop Business Establishment Center to help new entrants, particularly from overseas economies, and launch startups in Tokyo. Furthermore, the TMG provides financial support to innovative companies that enhance the welfare of our citizens. Tokyo is one of the world's largest metropolitan areas, with approximately 40 million people living and commuting safely and efficiently. The city maintains a strong commitment to democracy, the rule of law, and a free economy. Home to numerous top-tier universities, Tokyo serves as a global cultural hub for music, art, and food culture. We welcome individuals and enterprises from across the globe. The TMZ remains dedicated to promoting financial innovation and developing a robust ecosystem for startups to enhance the welfare of all Tokyo citizens. As a first round of discussion, we would like to talk about the current state of the ecosystem for the financial innovation and fintech. Given our limited time, please allow me to ask all the participants to keep responses within 5 minutes each. And first, I would like to invite Mr. Masao Shimazaki of the Japan FSA to explain the initiatives of the JFSA has taken to develop fintech industries, facilitate financings for startups, and support cross-border investment. Masao, please.
Okay, so firstly, let me explain the initiatives taken by the Financial Services Agency, so our organization, to support the development of Japan's fintech industry. So to date, the JFSA has worked to develop and update the regulatory framework related to fintech businesses, such as money transmission, crypto assets, and stablecoins. And we often see that businesses prefer to consult with the regulator in advance to confirm whether their new services raise any issues under financial regulations, rather than simply launching first and dealing with regulatory questions later. From the JFSA's perspective, we believe it is important to support such forward-looking business initiatives by providing careful assistance on legal interpretation, taking into account the specific features of each business model. For this purpose, the JFSA established the FinTech Support Desk in 2015. Through this desk, we provide a single point of contact for businesses involving fintech and other forms of financial innovation, and receive inquiries on concrete business plans and financial regulations. Since its establishment, the desk has handled approximately 2,700 inquiries and consultations. Next, startups. Startups also play a very important role as driver of innovation, especially in the fintech sector. Therefore, the JFSA considers it extremely important to promote the supply of growth capital to startups. In Japan, capital supply to domestic venture capitals and private equities funds has traditionally come mainly from business corporations and banks, while participation by asset owners, such as pension funds, has been relatively limited. But alternative investments, including towards VC and PE, are very useful for asset owners. and should be very useful for owners as a way to diversify portfolios and improve portfolio efficiency, actually. The Japanese government has powerfully established a policy plan for promoting Japan as a leading asset management center these days and supports asset owners' activities for strengthening investment framework with proper risk management and by asset management by asset owners. For example, the government prepared for their asset owner principle for investment entities, so such as private and public pension funds. And more than 350 entities have adopted the principle. Yes, and we also wrote or established some venture capital recommendations and hopes for VCs for increasing the money to the venture capital. It's easier for them here to attract money. So based on that kind of principle. And from the perspective of expanding cross-border investment, we also aim to encourage overseas and management companies to enter the Japanese market, of course. To this end, the JFSA and Local Finance Bureau established the Financial Market Entry Office in 2021, which is in an innovation hub in Tokyo. It provides one-stop support for overseas financial business operations. Of course, the inquirers can be provided information, of course, in English. Yeah. And in addition, the JFSA set up the Financial Startup Support Program in 2021, in which the JFSA outsources the service to a company. We provide also one-stop information consultation and support to overseas firms entering the Japanese market, both in relation to business startup matters and day-to-day living matters. Through these initiatives, the JFSA, the Japanese government, will continue to support financial innovation by enhancing regulatory predictability, promoting the supply of growth capital to startups, and facilitating the entry of overseas financial firms into Japan. Thank you.
Thank you, Masao. Then I'd like to ask a similar question to Damian and the City of London. Could you illustrate the City of London's current initiatives to develop fintech industry to facilitate financing for startups and to support cross-border investment, please?
Well, thank you very much indeed. And there is much in common between what you have just said and what we are also doing in the UK. But first, can I just say a huge thank you to Tokyo Metropolitan Government for working with us on this wonderful event. Many of you will know we have a memorandum of understanding with TMG that has gone on for many years. Every year we have a secondee from TMG who comes to London and becomes a very close member of the team. There's one of them sitting just over there, and people have all sent their deepest respects to her. So what is it that we are doing within the City of London? And indeed, what is the City of London? The City of London it is governmental. It runs the centre of London, but it also has a nationwide role. And that role is to support financial services, both in terms of the policy framework and in terms of being able to promote the services and to make connections. So one of the first things that we did, and this is about 12, 13 years ago, we were thinking about fintech when it was very early on. And we thought we need to get the key ingredients. You're making a cake, you need the right ingredients to be mixed together. So what are the right ingredients? You need to have the right tax ingredients, you need to have the right talent, you need regulation, you need capital, and you need a little bit of intellectual magic to bring it all together. We can't ourselves come up with intellectual magic. That is what sits out in the room. But the other four parts, we can be part of that. However, we thought actually rather than trying to do it all ourselves, the best thing would be to set up an organization that would really champion fintech and do it because its members were made up of fintechs. And that is Innovate finance, who are absolutely superb. I would say that the great growth and strength of fintech in the UK, much of it is down to the work that they've done. We're very proud because we helped to set them up, and I sit on the board, but all of the credit really should go to them directly. But just to take two other areas briefly, if I may. So one of those is around talent. We have set up Innovate Finance. We have also set up 6 other organizations, and 2 of them deal with talent. One of those is talent from different backgrounds. So we want to see people of all backgrounds getting into financial services, that it shouldn't be narrow, that it should be about the best people being able to come and do jobs within financial services. And we set up a second organization, which is all about the skills of tomorrow. And we think their AI will be right at the heart of those skills. But capital is a subject which is close, I think, to many of our hearts, because you need to link capital to opportunity. If you can connect capital to the right opportunities, everything can happen. Huge amounts of growth. I will say a little bit more perhaps later, but the one thing we have done in the UK is to look at where are our pools of capital and how can we link them to fintech. And the big pool of capital in the UK that was not being properly used was pension capital. So we got the pension firms together as the City of London. I had a big working group. I said, can we agree that we are going to put more of your working capital into private markets and in particular into growth firms? And through great leadership from the Lord and Lady Mayor, that is something that they agreed to. So they have now agreed to 5% of their assets under management going into private markets in the UK and another 5 into private markets internationally. So we think the supply of opportunity of capital then needs to meet the right kind of opportunity, the right kind of firms. It's about supply and demand. It's what's right at the heart of every market. So bringing together the capital with the right kind of firms is a key part of the work we do and a key part of the work that we want to do with Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Damien. So then I'd like to ask Natalie from the industrial side, how do you assess the current ecosystem on financing and environment and investment opportunities for the fintech firms in Japan, please?
Thank you very much. So I think echoing what Shimazaki-san said, like the government and the regulators have been very forward-thinking and proactive in finding ways to support the fintech industry's growth. And so having started the Fintech Association 10 years ago, where we saw a lot of early-stage startups growing and expanding, the market has definitely matured over time. Like I think we see more corporates getting into the fintech space, or sorry, non-financial service companies coming into the space, also more scale-ups versus startups. But as the space has evolved, like we're seeing more investment. I think there's still so much more room for growth in the Japanese market. I think there is still a little bit of a risk-averse side of things where you do need to make some bets. But I think there's been a lot of growth in the space, and it's matured over time. And what gets invested in, the trends kind of adjust, and I think this is happening globally. So in the early days, it was a lot of consumer-focused startups, a lot of things in the payment space, and then we saw a big trend in the crypto space. And now we're seeing, I think everything is all about Gen AI and stablecoins. But I think Japan has been very good at actually capturing those trends and being proactive and looking at how do we bring those things into the market. It is like from the outside, it can look very opaque and difficult because of the language and I think cultural barriers, but it's a free and open market where if you meet the requirements, you can obtain the required licensing, you can launch your business. You do have to understand the localization requirements and understand the consumers here. You can't just cookie cutter take the approach that you're doing in another market and bring it here, but I think that actually applies to a lot of different markets. And so I think there's so much growth and so much opportunity for the next decade, I think, in the fintech space. So yes, really looking forward to collaborating more with London so that we can see more bilateral, I guess, companies going to each other's markets.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. Then I'd like to ask a similar question to Haley. And how do you assess the current ecosystem and financing environment and investment opportunities for fintech firms in UK, please?
Thank you, and thanks for having me. And thank you, Damien, for those kind words about Innovate Finance. Similarly, obviously, we work very closely with the City of London. We're very collaborative and really appreciate that relationship that we have. So the UK continues to be Europe's dominant fintech hub, which I think that you've heard already this morning. And that's definitely a combination of the deep financial services expertise that we have. We also have a strong regulatory infrastructure. We have a pro-innovation regulator in the FCA, and that definitely helps, obviously, fintech firms that are scaling and obviously want to test their projects in a regulatory environment. We have a large and diverse pool of fintech talent, which I think a few people have mentioned already, and we do have a good pool of investors, of institutions, and of our corporate partners as well. So I think all of those elements really support the ecosystem that we have and make it strong and as said before, the dominant fintech hub that Europe has. Obviously now we're looking at specific verticals within the fintech space. So we've already proven our leadership in certain areas such as open banking, embedded finance, and as I'm sure you will hear more of today as well, AI is a big topic, and we in the UK have an ambition to be global leaders in AI and then also digital assets. So we've doing a big campaign around stablecoin at the moment, and that's something that really Innovate Finance is flying the flag for. So the ecosystem is strong. As mentioned, it's strong because of those various elements. And I think we have a number of fintech firms here that we should be super proud of that started here. Revolut, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, is one of our huge success stories. And we have a number of fintech firms that are second to none. I think what we're seeing now and what Damien mentioned, and I think we'll go into a bit later, is we've got all these great fintech firms and we've got great teams. They've got great products, great ideas, and big ambitions. But we're seeing just a lack of growth stage capital. So what we're seeing is that many of these fintech firms aren't actually getting past a seed stage, which is saddening to see because obviously we feel that they're great companies and great products. So a lot of the work that City of London are doing with ourselves and as an industry are looking at how we can unlock more growth stage capital to ensure that the fintech firms that start in the UK can scale in the UK and choose to basically scale, stay, and potentially list if that's an option, but really making sure that we create that environment for them to do so.
Yeah, thank you, Haley. So then we'd like to proceed to the second round of discussions. In this round, we'll focus on the future of fintech ecosystem and the financial innovation. Now, I'd like to ask each panelist to please limit your responses within 3 minutes, please. And so first, I'd like to ask Natalie for your insights on what initiatives are necessary to facilitate financing and growth for the fintech industry in Japan. What forms of collaboration between UK and Japan or London and Tokyo do you believe to be most beneficial, please?
Sure. I think I'd like to focus on 2 points and echoing Haley, I think the growth capital piece, like to run a fintech business at scale and meet all the risk and compliance requirements, it requires a lot of funding. And so I think the early stage funding environment has gotten a lot better in the last 10 years in Japan, but being able to scale to the next stage requires hundreds of millions of dollars, not tens. And so I think that's one key piece. And I think the second piece is the talent market. I think particularly in Japan, there's a big labor shortage given the population And like particular, so like one, it's difficult to hire talent generally, but then also talent that's willing to take risk and work at a startup. Like you spend so much energy trying to find the right people and convincing them to join, particularly in the early stages. And also, I think from a labor, like what you need in those early days versus in that scale up period versus when you're like established also changes. So just creating more flexibility in the labor market to allow for people to join startups, try it out. If it doesn't work out, you can always go like having the opportunity to also go back into more traditional industries, but just having more flexibility in the labor markets, I think would also be very beneficial for the space to scale further.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. Then I'd like to ask a similar question to Haley, please. What initiatives do you believe are necessary to facilitate financing and growth for the fintech industry in UK? And what forms of collaboration between London and Tokyo would be most beneficial for both markets, please?
Yes, thank you. It's quick. I'll do a quick summary because I appreciate we're short on time. But we have a number of initiatives, some that I'm sure you will hear more about today. But we have initiatives such as the Scale Up Unit and digital sandboxes, and they provide bespoke regulatory support that get firms investment ready quicker. So we find those are really helpful for our fintech firms here. That we also have government-backed funding and investment schemes like the British Business Bank. They inject capital directly into the venture ecosystem, and that's again something that the ecosystem here are super keen on, and it's invaluable to them. We have various tax incentives as well to support entrepreneurs. So we have schemes such as the EIS, the SEIS, which offer tax relief to individual investors. We have something called R&D tax credits as well, and many firms have found that invaluable also. We spoke a little bit before about the pension fund reforms, obviously a hot topic at the moment. City of London, Innovate Finance and others are working together to see, as I mentioned before, how we can unlock more pension capital to invest in fintech firms. And it's also around educating pension funds as well on the benefit of doing so. So there are a few initiatives and projects that we're working on here in the UK at the moment. On the second point, I think we just need to continue to work together as we have done. We need to facilitate that market understanding, deepen regulatory cooperation, and align on policy frameworks. We need to continue to support innovation in both jurisdictions, and just continue that regular exchange between the UK and Japan, the regulators and industry. And I think all of that will make sure that we succeed together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Haley. So then I'd like to ask Masao the views from the authorities side and the regulators side. What steps is the JFSA prepared to take to strengthen UK-Japan and the London-Tokyo relationship and the cooperation? And what measures are planned to further develop Japan's fintech industry and the ecosystem, please?
I understand that innovation doesn't arise from new technology alone, as you said. Yes, so rather it is created through continuous interaction among people with diverse backgrounds who bring together different knowledge and experiences and perspectives. One of the most important keywords is, in my opinion, so accumulation. So it's important to accumulate knowledge and other important assets like human relations without letting them get scattered immediately. In this sense, what's important for the JFSA is to actively create opportunities for knowledge sharing and accumulation and constructive dialogue between the public and private sectors. Many public and private sector, including us, first hold large-scale network events. And what's important is, in my opinion, to continue meaningful and deep communication, so that can lead to collaboration, market entry, and a better and deeper understanding of each country's environment, including regulatory framework from that event. Yeah, I think this event is very important. Okay, good one. Of course, this, okay, so I have to, be in time here. So, for example, last year, our Parliamentary Secretary for Finance, Mr. Nishino, visited London and exchanged views with a local incubation hub, which I heard supports around 200 tech startups in London. And after that, the knowledge was shared to us, and it led to better understanding inside our organization. I know, of course, ESO London is one of the world's leading financial and fintech centers, and we have to learn from that. And I'm also going to go to London, yeah, from this end of June, yeah, to visit so business operators and government and central bank BOJ. And I actually studied at the Cambridge University, so now I got a Master of Philosophy in Economics from the Cambridge University, and so I'm very looking forward to going to UK. And actually, in that occasion, so when I visit London in July, I would like to learn more about the regulatory environment and businesses in the UK, and want to build your human relationship or other communication. I would like to share what I know about Japan from the Japanese perspective, and which will lead to asset accumulation. So at the same time, I would like to let people in UK know about our situation. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Masao. Then I'd like to ask a similar question to Damian. What steps is the City of London ready to take to strengthen the UK-Japan cooperation or London-Tokyo cooperation and further develop fintech industry and companies in UK, please?
Well, thank you very much. And I can't but agree very strongly with the point around partnership and people to people is so key. We talked about the partnership between City of London and Tokyo Metropolitan Government. I think the partnership between the regulators and government here and the regulators and government in the UK is critical, absolutely critical. And I'll give you two reasons, or one reason why. And the reason why is one word: interoperability. And that word is critical whether we're talking about uh, digital assets or whether we're talking about AI. And both of those two are going to be fundamental for the absolute transformation. If we were sitting here in 2 years, maybe even 1 year, I think that there is going to be a sea change in the way that services are provided, products are made, and the kind of companies that survive and don't survive, it's going to be quite a change over the next few years. So what does that mean that we are doing in practice? So one of the things that we were maybe just a little bit critical of the situation in the UK was that on digital assets, we were not moving quickly enough. We thought that many parts of the landscape were very good, that we were going to have a native digital sovereign bond issuance digit. Great. That we were having a digital security sandbox. Fantastic. But there wasn't a clear sense of how this fitted together. What is the plan? What is the route forward? And I'm really pleased that we and others put a lot of encouragement on government to bring this together. They have now appointed, from the industry, they've appointed a digital markets champion called Chris Woolard. From my team, I have brought together 5 people who will be supporting him in the Secretariat with some other associations, but we will be the heart of the Secretariat. And it's with one idea in mind, and that is to have absolute clarity from an investor and an industry point of view of how to make the UK really attractive as a place to do business for digital assets. And one of the key pieces of that is, as Chris said last week, digital assets is a network business. It only works if you are interoperable with other parts of the system. So that is number one. And then number two, around AI, very briefly, it is quite clear that different jurisdictions have got different approaches. If you look at the EU, it's very restrictive. If you look at the US, it is very permissive. I think that both the UK and Japan have an approach that is very focused on making sure that consumers are protected enough, but you don't stifle innovation. You've got to have the innovation. And I think that is reflected in the levels of investment into AI in the UK, which is 70 billion pounds. I'm sorry, I don't know that in yen. 70 billion pounds. That is third only to the US and China. There's huge investment going into the UK, and we would be delighted to work more closely with Japan because I think we are very similar-minded, both on AI and on digital assets. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damian. As you mentioned that the cross-border linkages and interoperability is keywords in current digital asset finance and digital financing. But of course, as you mentioned, that the interoperability and the cross-border linkages of the human resources are quite important. Yes, I really understand. Thank you very much for wonderful words. And as we are approaching to the end of the session, I'd like to ask each panelist to provide brief concluding remarks, keeping them within 1 minute, please. First, Natalie, please. Please.
No, like I think just to close out, I think this has been a great event, and I look forward to having more conversations with everybody in the audience about how we can support innovation across both markets and globally together. This has been a very engaging panel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Then, Haley, please provide your final remarks, please.
Yes, and sorry I couldn't be there in person, but if anybody would like to learn more about Innovate Finance, then yeah, happy to connect. I think, you know, the existing relationship we have between the UK and Japan is strong. You know, it's great that we have the MOU in place. It's just about making sure that we keep up this regular exchange, this knowledge sharing, as Damien put it, you know, making sure that we've got this regulatory alignment, aligning on policy frameworks. I think that could be really key to expanding the relationship, and also making sure that, you know, both jurisdictions have a thriving fintech and financial services ecosystem. So thank you for having me. I'm delighted to join you all today.
Yeah, thank you. And then Masao, please.
I enjoyed it here very much. So this interaction. So, and I totally agree with your opinion about interoperability. I'm in charge of digital assets or digital issues, including on-chain issues, yeah, blockchains, and AIs. So actually, so the area you mentioned is my area of in which I'm in charge. Yeah. So I learned much from you, and I would like to get in touch with all of you. Yeah. So who participated in this moment. Yeah. So I learned much from this moment. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Then Damien, please.
Well, what a privilege and pleasure to be on the panel with the panelists here and our moderator. I think three things interoperability, I think, is key. Relationships are really key. Talent is very important. Particularly, we are going to see a transformation like we have not seen for a generation. How do we take everybody with us? So let us dream about a fintech that is taking talent with us and is making people's lives so much better.
Yeah, thank you very much. We understand that there's a great potential for further collaboration between London and Tokyo in terms of the digital asset and tokenization and digital asset. Yeah, thank you very much. And fortunately, our time is running out. So I'd like to ask the audience to give a great applause to the distinguished panelists, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all our speakers for the insightful discussion. Please join me in giving them another round of applause. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. Now we'd like to move on to the firm showcase featuring 4 companies driving innovative initiatives in the fintech sector. So I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Ed Jamal, Global Business Development Lead, Data Chain Inc. So please welcome Mr. Jamal.
Hello, thank you everyone. Let me see how to work this. Okay, perfect. Great to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll try to keep brief within the time limit. My name is Ed Jamal. I'm global BizDev lead for Data Chain, in charge of global markets. So in the next few minutes, let's talk a little bit about the company, what we've been building, and partnerships that we've been consolidating. So Data Chain was founded in 2018 as the R&D blockchain arm of SPI, a company listed in the Tokyo Stock Exchange. So we are 100% focused on building blockchain infrastructure, 100% focused on the enterprise sector, right? So along the years, we gathered a team of very talented people from top tier companies. And of course, we've built many innovative solutions that we got recognized for through the ecosystem, through the blockchain ecosystem, receiving grants and bringing the ecosystems together, right? Also, we participate in the next steps of the industry, how the industry will follow in the future by taking participation in associations and working groups, and of course, consolidating strong partnerships, which I'm going to mention in a few minutes. As for myself, I joined the company in 2024, focused on global markets, as I mentioned, and helping consolidate these partnerships. So I'm happy to get into more details later on. I have to run. Okay, so here to showcase a little bit about how our company grew, and I'd like to highlight how the curve is steep in the last couple of years. This goes hand in hand with the growth of enterprise adoption of blockchain technology, so it's not an accident. And of course, showcasing a few of the companies that our talent comes from. Okay, so our three main pillars currently rely on Cura Privacy, which is our full depth privacy solution. Privacy is a key aspect of enterprise adoption of blockchain, and we are 100% focused on that. It's a full depth focused on anonymity, confidentiality, and unlinkability, covering all aspects, and of course, fully compliance with all of these features. I'm happy to go into more details later on. Data Chain Wallet, also 100% for the enterprise sector. It comes with the privacy solution built in, and of course, all of the other features focused on enterprise adoption, enterprise compliance, and of course, security and ease of use. And our legacy expertise, cross-chain technology, interoperability that was mentioned just now, right? So interoperability within the blockchains, right? So we have several solutions that were iterated throughout the years. Currently, we have LCP, which is a security first infrastructure, 100% focused on the security side of things, because as you know, blockchain bridges are most focused or a big target of attacks and hacks, right? So proudly for us, we use IBC as the standard. IBC has a zero track record of exploits. So we keep iterating on these solutions, but not limited to these. We are also building tokenized deposit solutions related to stable coins and many other things. To showcase a few of our most respected partners, they speak for themselves, of course. We are 100% focused on bringing this innovation to the big financial sector, right? So focusing on these partnerships and more, of course, with these major players in the market, SWIFT, the three mega banks of Japan, and other technology companies. We built relevant projects like Project PEX, which is a cross-border solution for compliant stablecoins. Prognet stablecoin, which is the actual issuance platform of Japanese compliant stablecoins. And more recently, Project Trinity, led by SMBC, which provides atomic cross-chain delivery versus payments between security tokens and stablecoins. And of course, not limited to those, we are also building a similar project to Trinity, but specifically focused on tokenized securities like repos and government bonds, Japanese government bonds. Okay, guys, so basically we build large projects, large infrastructure, right? So we are not just looking for clients, we're looking to generating long-term partnerships. Okay, so not just with these major players, but hopefully with some of you tonight, right? So to showcase a little bit of our partnerships, we just launched a partnership program with a selective group of companies here in Japan, and to help us optimize even more our Kura privacy solution. We think privacy is a crucial aspect of enterprise adoption, and we are building on top of that many, many layers. Okay, guys, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. If any of these resonate with you guys, I'm happy to talk to you. Of course, the UK market is 100% one of our focus. We are actually talking to the Payments Association in London, and we hope to extend this reach. I ran out of Meishi, so we're going to have to use my digital cards right now. So here's my contact information. I'll be in the event until the end. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gemmell. Please scan the QR code and connect with Mr. Gemmell. Okay, and our second speaker is Ms. Samantha Giotti, co-founder and CEO of Habito. So please welcome Ms. Giotti.
Okay, I can actually move over here, can I not? Hello, everyone. My name is Sam. I am the co-founder and chief executive at Habito. I have 5 minutes to talk about a company. Every founder wants to talk about their company, but actually what I heard today kind of made me think a little bit different about what I'm about to say here. And so I just wanted to share a few reflections, which I hope you'll take away as a proof point that actually collaboration really works. As my name suggests, I'm Italian. I'm not British and I'm not Japanese. And so both London, the city of London and the city of Tokyo, they've been incredibly generous with me, both in my early days in my career as an investor, and now also a bit later in my career as an entrepreneur. But I spent over 20 years in London. London has been my home for a very, very long time. And yes, I have seen the real birth of fintech, and you know what Damien has been talking about today about fintech. 20 years ago, it was just a seedling thing, just coming out of London, and so I saw firsthand really the impact of working with a fantastic regulator. Really, really forward-looking. Providers of capital, I was one of them. I spent over 10 years as an investor in private equity and venture, and really working with, what I would say, ecosystem coordinator, like in Innovate Finance, that now has been, I think it's close to 15 years old or so. So it does work. I have then sort of taken some of that experience into Singapore, where also worked with the MAS and with some of the local founders, and with a company called Singlife, which has been my previous gig, which I sold to TPG. So once again, how critical it is to actually have growth capital. That's been talked about quite extensively today. And as an entrepreneur, I can tell you, you're constantly staring at bankruptcy. That's the reality when you're building. So actually having sustainable backers throughout your career and throughout your story is super, super important. Once I sold Singlife, I rebooted my team and sort of came to Japan. And so we talked about today about the importance of talent and how critical it is to build businesses with a diverse talent. So here we are, about 4 years into our journey at Habito. What we do, Habito is, I can see here, probably I need to get the clicker. Just give me a sec. Here it is. We are a savings platform. We're building Japan's savings platform. Japan is the largest saving market on the planet by a mile. And Habito is savings in a new world, in a world where we have positive interest rates, and in a world where we have inflations. Outside of Japan, these are the norm, but Japan is really growing into a very, very different macro environment. And so Habito is really playing into this new environment where we help savers grow and protect their savings. And we do so with an important thesis, which is Japanese consumers approach investments decision through a saving mindset. They're quite different from many other investors. And so I think Natalie actually talked about how important it is to come to Japan, but actually think through with the cultural context. So I'm hoping that this is a proof point that, yeah, it is possible to have a foreign entrepreneur that comes into Japan and thinks a little differently about how to help savers grow and protect their savings. We're positioned as the savings platform. Some of you may recognize the Hoken no Madaguchi logo. So we're taking some of the inspiration from that brand and building it into a Chochiku no Madaguchi. What we do, we help customers saving through a very simple account. It's a high yield bank account. We're also providing their securities products that are actually dressed up as savings product. Through AI, we help customers then move from savings to investment products, and in particular into protection products too. I think what makes Habito a little bit different, and I think this is an interpretation of financial technology in an environment like Japan, is that we recognize that in Japan, actually the physical relation, the human relationship is very important. And so we embedded human advisors within our platform from day one. About 70% of our customers are people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So we target people that are not exactly coming out of school yet, but people that have real financial problems. We have closer to 70,000 users, and about 30% of them have interacted with advisors. Critically, I think this is an important metric for direct to consumers. 98% of customers are satisfied or very satisfied. We've been in market for 4 years. We raised about $12 million, in the last round, and about $20 million in total. It has been harder to raise domestically than internationally. So for anyone that sort of comes here from a sort of Japanese landscape perspective, it is possible, but it's harder to do it here than elsewhere. So there's room for growth in that respect. And quite critically, back to this idea of collaboration, the way we built the cap table is really a reflection of how important we think collaboration across international is. And here's just a sample of our investor base. As you can see, there's a combination of both domestic investors, global investors, well, I would say London investors, and Southeast Asian investors. So without further ado, thank you for your time, and I hope that you'll walk away with a little bit of a proof point that collaboration really helps. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much, Ms. Giotti. Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome the third speaker, Yamamura Akira, Representative Director, Tractable KK, and General Manager, Japan and APAC, Tractable Limited. So please welcome Mr. Yamamura.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Akira Yamamura, Representative Director of Tractable Japan. Today, I'm thrilled to show how we are repositioning Tractable into a physical AI company. To begin with, let's start with a 2-minute short introduction video to see how our latest AI works in action. Welcome back. Tractable was founded in London in 2014, triggered by a historic breakthrough in image recognition. As the error rate dropped drastically, AI proved it could see physical objects better than humans. And we knew this would completely revolutionize financial industries, especially insurtech. Look at our global numbers. Today, our proprietary AI processes $7 billion in vehicle transactions annually. In Japan's automotive market, we have co-innovated with market leaders, winning the Keidanren Award with Tokyo Marine and the Japan DX Award with Sompo Japan. On the property side, our legacy Typhoon AI won the Tokyo Financial Award and has been successfully transferred to NTT ME to leverage their strong local networks. This proven track record made us the first computer vision company and became the unicorn for financial services, backed by SoftBank Vision Fund and other global investors. So why Japan and why global? Vehicle breaks in the same manner worldwide. However, repairs require deep calibrations based on the local needs and Japanese artisanship. In other words, shokunin damashi in Japanese. Today, our proprietary AI has been battle tested in Japan and is being exported to the world as a new made in Japan. This brings to our 2026 strategy. Until now, we were a pure software company for accident recovery. However, from 2026 onwards, we are combining software with hardware. We are expanding accident recovery to capture the entire life cycle of vehicles. By embedding our AI into Luma Scanner, we capture rentals, new car sales, underwriting, recycling, and even importing and exporting at the port. Think of it as a health checkup for vehicle to understand the exact condition of valuable asset at every single stage. We are already bringing this AI breakthrough into the real world across the UK, Japan, and the US. Again, moving forward, we will continue to the entire life journey of the automotive. By connecting London's tech innovation with Japan's operational excellence, we will redefine the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yamamura. Next, we will hear from our final speaker. Our final speaker is Izawa Yutaka, Japan Representatives Sales Head North Asia Trade Stream Japan Inc. So everyone, please welcome Mr. Izawa.
Good evening, people in Japan here in Tokyo. Good morning to people in London. So I need to explain about TradeStream, but before that, I want to do a quick introduction to myself, because I was wondering why I was invited here. And if you think about it, so in terms of TradeStream, we're a UK-based, London-based trade-related fintech company. And I started with TradeStream in 2000, I guess it was 21, so it's about 5 years now with TradeStream. Hello? And before that, I spent 8 years in London, so I lived in London. So it's sort of my second home. Although I spent 8 years in the US when I was small as well, so I don't know which is my second home or third home. But anyway, so and London, yes, for sure. I lived in Wimbledon, so it was a wonderful place. Probably a wonderful time of the year right now. So before TradeStream, I was a banker, and as a banker, I spent time in London, covering Japanese clients in across Europe, for that matter. So, and coming back, I was covering Japanese clients and Japanese financial firms as well, and I started with TradeStream. So to me, and within TradeStream, we got a grant from the Tokyo Metropolitan government, and I've been working closely with the British Embassy here in Tokyo as well. So it was sort of natural for me to be up here, I guess. So anyway, so what do we do? So it's a very niche sort of area that we're in. We're in B2B. We're trade-based fintech. So what does that mean? So there's cross-border trade between, let's say, Japan and England or wherever. And so in trade, how many people have experience in trade? Not sure. Okay, great. So in the trade world, right? So when the Japanese exports to foreign UK or whatever, right? There's what is called shipping documents. And there's like in a usual trade transaction, there's about 5 or 6 types of trade documents. So there's, there's a bill of lading, there's invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, these kinds of documents. And guess what? They're all paper-based, printed out paper. Yeah. And you have loads of people taking the paper and eyeball checking it. So it's been, trade has been around for thousands of years. And it's one area that hasn't been fully digitalized yet. So what we're trying to do is 3 areas of providing value to this area of non-digitalization. So you have people checking these documents physically. So we wanted to automate that process, automate the document checking. Yeah. And then once we do that, there's an area called compliance checking. So in a trade transaction, the banks are required to check that the transaction itself, the trade transaction that they're involved in, does not have any fraud, money laundering incidents in it. So these are things that the banks needs to check, the exporters needs to check as well. So in a transaction where there's a trade and there's a trade finance, yeah. So there's 3 points of checks. One is if there's I'm not sure everybody understands all this, but I'll say anyway. So in the LC transaction where there's, the importer requires to have a bank guarantee the trade, yeah? So the issuing bank, which is the imported bank, will eventually need to make sure that the documents are okay. So then on the export side, there's a bank, the exporter bank, who intermediates the LC, will need to check it. And then prior to that, the exporter needs to check it. So there's 3 points of paper going around the world to do the document checking. So what we have done is to create the auto document checking, yeah? And in order to do that, we needed to get the digital data, the data. So we created our own AI OCR to digitalize the data. Now, there are initiatives out there to get data from source. We couldn't wait for it. So right now, great if we get that. But in the interim, we use AI OCR, okay? So once we have that data, we use the same data to do compliance checking, right? And our business model is, if you think about cross-border trade and having that data, yeah, there's more use of that data, the data of trade transactions, Yeah. And the one area, the third, working capital, right? We're a fintech. We don't have license. So we can't fund itself, but we can intermediate. I have to be careful of using the word here, right? So we facilitate the funding, yeah? So because there's regulatory issues in terms of using intermediation, whatever. So, but we facilitate, we create the framework for people who require funds and people who will fund that transaction. So that's what we do. And then because we have the data, we have the trade transaction data. I'm not sure we have that here. Yeah, I think we do. So we process already over 4 million trade transactions already. So we have trade transaction data flowing through our systems already. So how to make use of that is our business proposition. We already work here in Japan with SMBC, the 3 mega banks who are heavy users. Right? I'm not sure if any of the banks are here, but each bank has about 200 to 300 people eyeball checking these things. Yeah. So it's a great efficiency gain for them. We have the major Japanese trading companies. We have the 3 of them that's shown here already with us, and the others are aligned to start with us. Obviously, overseas as well, we have the big Deutsche Bank, Citibanks, and we have about 50 banks globally that already do with us. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Isawa. So that was a great 4 case studies. Thank you very much for sharing. So now we are moving on to the keynote speech. Today we're pleased to welcome a keynote speaker, Alderwoman Dame Susan Langley, Lady Mayor of London. So everyone, please welcome Lady Mayor Langley.
Thank you. Well, thank you and good evening. It is so wonderful to be with you here again at the Tokyo Innovation Base. And thank you to the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and, of course, Governor Koike for facilitating and hosting such an important dialogue. So let me begin with a very brief introduction. I'm Sue Langley, the Lady Mayor of the City of London, the 697th person to hold this post, which dates all the way back to 1189. But today, that role and being Lady Mayor of the City of London means that I head up the City Corporation, the body that governs London's financial district, and I act as a global ambassador for the UK's financial and professional services industry. So you can say it's a historic role with a very modern purpose: to make connections across the globe and to match capital to opportunity. And that is what precisely brings me back to Tokyo this week, meeting leading banks, asset managers, and insurers to strengthen ties and boost two-way trade between Japan and the UK. I think that the UK and Japan already share an exceptional trade and investment relationship, supported, of course, by the Memorandum of Understanding between our 2 financial centres, signed in 2017, but refreshed last year. Japan is one of the UK's largest trading partners, and Japanese investment has doubled over the last decade, with nearly 1,000 Japanese companies in the UK. And the Japanese firms make a huge contribution to our city, our square mile. So I think that since we first signed the memorandum in 2017, it's united our two great financial centres and provides a platform for financial services firms in both our countries to connect and to increase flows of trade and investment. However, in an increasingly turbulent, uncertain world, we must hold our friends closer than ever before. The UK and Japan have a deep history of working together. We share similar approaches to business, similar regulations, and importantly, it is a partnership based on trust. Today's seminar is a really important milestone in our work, not just to increase financial services trade between the UK and Japan, but to continue fostering a shared culture of innovation, creating thriving and globally competitive ecosystems that are internationally accessible to us both. Today, London has overtaken San Francisco and New York as the world's largest financial technology hub. And with almost 3,000 fintechs throughout the UK, more than France and Germany combined, the UK dominates the European fintech landscape. Now, despite our strengths, we are not complacent. And so, as discussed today, the City of London is working with like-minded industry partners, including Innovate Finance, to help innovative financial firms. This includes unlocking greater pension and long-term capital into our growth ecosystem through initiatives such as the Mansion House Accord and Sterling 20. But these create exciting opportunities for Japanese capital to co-invest alongside us in UK fintech firms. I know that you share our focus on cultivating and encouraging your fintech environment, and I really do welcome initiatives undertaken by both Japanese government and industry to drive digitalization and ensure regulation is fit for purpose to allow fintechs to scale. As we have seen here today, the pipeline of Japanese fintechs is incredibly strong. Finally, I think today has shown that both of our systems work to create open and competitive ecosystems. And I am fully confident that our continued partnership with the Tokyo Metropolitan Government will only strengthen our respective propositions to investors and will result in growth for both of our great cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lady Mayor. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have almost come to the end of the seminar. To close the seminar, we would like to invite the Honorable Yuriko Koike, Governor of Tokyo, to deliver closing remarks. So please welcome Governor Koike.
Honorable Lady Mayor, City of London, Dame Susan Langley, and Her Excellency Ambassador Longbottom of the United Kingdom to Tokyo. And good evening, everyone. And good morning to those of you tuning in from the United Kingdom. Good morning again. I'm Koike Yuriko, Governor of Tokyo. I appreciate all of you joining us for today's seminar. And Lady Mayor, thank you very much for such a splendid keynote speech. And this was our inaugural financial innovation seminar. and our first joint seminar held here at Tokyo Innovation Base, TIB. And I would like to also express my respect to our wonderful partners at the City of London Corporation, whose dedicated efforts helped make this event a success. As indicated in today's lively discussions, efforts are underway in both London and Tokyo to develop a public-private financial ecosystem to strongly support innovative technologies and creativity. The times are changing at an extremely rapid pace, and even with the help of continually evolving AI, it is difficult to foresee what lies ahead for our world, as the Dame Susan has mentioned at the keynote speech. That is precisely why there is now a pressing need for the wisdom and ideas of people, which will help solve societal challenges and enrich our lives. In particular, I strongly believe that the power of women, who account for half the population, is so essential. And you may have noticed that half of tonight's speakers were women. At Tokyo Metropolitan Government Ordinance to promote the empowerment of women, the first of its kind in Japan, will come into effect next month. And we will continue working to firmly support women's advancement and leadership. And ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let us build on today's seminar by further supporting financial innovation, which generates new economic vitality, so that we may turn the uncertain future into one of the security and hub. And thank you very much. ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much, Governor Koike. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Tokyo London Financial Innovation Seminar 2026. On behalf of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and the City of London Corporation and the organizing team, we'd like to thank you all for being with us today.